Welcome to the deep dive. You sent us a really fascinating set of pages from the Aldine Robin Hood Library, #46.
Mhm.
And today we're digging into a few interconnected stories. A felon's stroke, in the nick of time, then held at ransom, and finishing with a foul scheme foiled.
It's quite the sequence. A real adventure unfolds.
Exactly. So our mission is to sort of unpack the key plot points, figure out what makes these characters tick, their motivations, and highlight those twists that really make you go, oh. We want to give everyone a clear picture of this whole narrative.
And it's a rich one, focusing on the Knight of Caledon, Robin Hood, naturally Prince John.
And all the intrigue swirling around them, it really centers on Prince John trying to undermine his brother, King Richard, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He's trying to grab power, deal with anyone loyal to Richard, and the Knight of Caledon finds himself squarely in those crosshairs.
We see these conflicts just escalate, don't we? Betrayals, alliances forming. It's a turbulent time.
Definitely. And it's not just the main story, is it? You pointed out those little extras in the pages.
Oh, yeah. Those adverts, they're fascinating little windows, aren't they? Jiu-jitsu
The
lessons,
self-defense, yes.
herbal remedies, toy pea pistols, even a free watch if you solve a puzzle.
It really adds flavor, like you said. It gives you a sense of the world around the main action. We'll touch on those maybe briefly.
Yeah, just as context. Okay, so let's get into the main story. The Knight of Caledon. How does his trouble start?
It kicks off with Baron de Courcy. He brings news to Prince John. Bad news from John's perspective.
King Richard's coming back?
Precisely. And Prince John is, let's just say, alarmed. Majorly alarmed.
And de Courcy immediately clocks the Knight of Caledon as a potential problem, doesn't he? He suspects Caledon's loyalty lies with Richard.
Spot on. He tries to pull Caledon over to Prince John's side, but Caledon's not having it.
Nope. Stays loyal.
Which, of course, makes de Courcy nervous.
Yeah.
He figures Caledon will spill the beans about John's plots. So what does he do?
He poisons the well, starts feeding Prince John negative stuff about Caledon.
Exactly. Twists things, plants suspicion, and Prince John, already paranoid.
He buys it. Orders Caledon's arrest.
But Caledon's sharp. He gets wind of it, or it maybe just senses the danger, and he escapes, along with his squire.
Ah, yes, the squire. Hell of Harding. Tell us about him. Their connection isn't new, is it?
No, there's a backstory there. Hal, who's a young stockman, basically a free farmer, owns his land.
Okay.
He'd actually rescued Caledon from some bandits earlier on. That act really forged a bond, a friendship between them. Yeah, of course, the usual social divides.
Which is interesting, especially considering de Courcy's attitude. Remember how Robin Hood had sort of persuaded de Courcy to promise respect for his Saxon neighbors?
I do. Forcefully persuaded, yes.
But de Courcy, because Hal is a Saxon churl in his eyes, figures that promise doesn't count. Made under duress to someone beneath him.
It speaks volumes, doesn't it, about the prejudices of the time? Norman versus Saxon. Even after being bested, de Courcy clings to that sense of superiority. The promise meant nothing to him.
Zero. So Caledon clearly trusts Hal, values his loyalty. He offers Hal the position of squire, planning to head to France to join King Richard.
And Hal accepts. Smart move, probably. Gets him out of de Courcy's reach, potentially.
Meanwhile, de Courcy keeps trying to lean on Caledon. Join Prince John. Join Prince John.
But Caledon won't budge. His loyalty to Richard is absolute. It's a real contrast to the plotting and scheming in John's circle.
Definitely. As Caledon is finally leaving de Courcy's castle, he notices something significant.
Right. Prince John gathering forces at York. A lot of forces.
Not a good sign. So Caledon leaves. He and Hal practice some knightly skills, maybe trying to keep sharp.
And maybe keep their minds off the looming threat.
But then the summons arrives. Prince John wants to see Caledon in York.
The very place the troops are gathering. Caledon takes Hal with him, of course.
On the way, they stop at an inn, and wouldn't you know it, more trouble.
Enter Sir Ulf Bruno, another Norman.
And another guy with eyes on Caledon's lands.
Exactly. This isn't just about Prince John's politics or de Courcy's revenge now. It's also about straightforward greed. Sir Ulf sees an opportunity.
But he tries to take it immediately, picks a fight.
Picks a fight, attacks Caledon. But Caledon, with Hal helping out, manages to defeat him. Sir Ulf's men leg it.
Typical. The innkeeper must be tearing his hair out.
Probably terrified of Sir Ulf's men coming back for revenge. And just then,
Who should be wandering nearby?
Robin Hood and the boys, they hear the commotion from the inn.
Talk about timing. So they see soldiers heading towards the inn.
Yes, and they overhear talk about the Knight of Caledon being attacked, a fellow Englishman, possibly in trouble with Normans.
That's enough for Robin.
It is. They decide to intervene. They arrive literally as the inn door is being broken down.
Straight into the fray.
They jump in, help Calden and Hal fight off the attackers. Rescue successful.
What happens to Sir Ulf in all this?
He's left knocked out cold. Friar Tuck patches him up, figures he'll be out of action for a couple of weeks.
Friar Tuck the medic. We'll see about that 2-week prediction.
We will indeed. So Calden and Hal, they press on towards York. But as we hinted, it's not a friendly reception.
Right, because the plots against him are already in motion. We get the full picture now, don't we?
Yeah, it crystallizes. Prince John, pushed by nobles who want Calden's estates, plans to accuse him of treason.
Convenient.
De Courcy, wanting revenge for his earlier humiliation by Robin Hood, is adding fuel to the fire against Calden.
And Sir Ulf, well, his motive was simpler. Attack Calden at the inn, eliminate him, grab the land.
It's coming at him from all sides.
Yeah.
Political ambition, personal revenge, pure greed.
A perfect storm! But wait, back at the inn, Sir Ulf.
Ah, yes. Friar Tuck's patient. Turns out he wakes up much sooner than expected.
Oh!
Overhears someone saying he's basically a prisoner waiting for Calden to come back.
So he plays possum.
Plays possum, waits for his chance, slips out, nabs a horse, and boom, he's gone.
Resourceful, you have to give him that. Okay, so Calden and Hal have had enough of York, understandably. They flee.
They head for London initially, but decide the safer route is through.
Sherwood Forest. Good choice.
And who do they run into?
Robin Hood and the Merry Men, naturally, who welcome them.
Calden explains everything. The mess in York, the plots, the danger he's in.
And Robin's advice is practical. Stay here. Stay safe in Sherwood.
Makes sense. The forest is their stronghold.
But Calden feels a duty to go to London. He needs to warn other loyal nobles about Prince John.
He's thinking bigger picture, not just his own safety.
Plus, he wants to go back for Sir Ulf, the wounded Norman knight at the inn. Thinks he might be useful. Information. A hostage.
Strategic thinking again. Robin respects that, agrees to send some men to find Sir Ulf and bring him to Sherwood.
While they're in Sherwood, there's another incident. Robin's men ambush some soldiers.
Yeah, a small group, 6 soldiers, and one of them is carrying something very interesting.
A document.
A parchment. Actual orders from Prince John to the Sheriff of Nottingham.
What does it say?
Get the castle ready for the prince's arrival, guard all the exits to the town, and crucially arrest the Knight of Calden if he shows up.
Wow. Black and white proof. No more doubts.
Not at all. This ramps things up considerably.
So messengers fly off to Nottingham to London, sounding the alarm.
And Robin, Calden, Hal, and a small group decide to head towards Nottingham themselves.
But they get ambushed.
By a much larger force this time. It's a bad one. Will Starlet gets captured.
Oh, no.
And Hal of Harding is captured, too. Calden manages to escape again, unharmed, but...
His squire and one of Robin's best men are taken. That's devastating for him, especially Hal.
Absolutely. Calden is distraught. He vows he'll rescue Hal.
So what's the plan? Back into the lion's den.
Pretty much. Robin and Calden, in disguise this time, sneak into Nottingham to find Hal.
Where do they start looking?
They try an inn, the Pied Bull. Figure they might overhear soldiers talking.
Good thinking. And do they?
They do. They hear that 3 captured men are going to be hanged soon.
Not Will and Hal, hopefully.
No, thankfully. But they hear the youngster, that's clearly Hal, is being held separately until Prince John gets there.
Why hold him? Leverage.
Possibly. Or maybe something worse planned. They also hear Hal's imprisoned somewhere, really secure, hard to escape.
Okay, so they know he's alive, but in serious danger and locked up tight. What next?
They follow the soldiers, trying to figure out where this secure place is. And then they spot a familiar face in the market.
Ooh.
Baron de Courcy. Bold as brass.
What's he saying?
They overhear him saying he reckons Calden is still hiding out in Sherwood and he's got all the roads watched.
So de Courcy doesn't know Calden's right there in Nottingham.
Nope. But then Calden spots someone else de Courcy's page.
Ah, a potential lead?
Calden thinks so. He figures the page might lead them to where Hal is being kept. Quick thinking.
So Calden follows the page?
Yes. Robin slips off to update the rest of the men who might be nearby. Calden tails the page.
And where does he lead him?
To this gloomy, imposing house. Looks like a private prison, really.
Whose place is it?
Belongs to a nasty piece of work named Simon Tetmoir, a known supporter of Prince John. Very dangerous guy.
Not good. This is where Hal is.
They manage to grab the page, maybe twist his arm a bit.
Figuratively, I hope.
Maybe. And the page spills. Yes, Hal was brought here, wounded, by Baron de Courcy himself.
De Courcy personally brought him here. Wow. That's vindictive.
Tells you how much de Courcy wants to hurt Calden by hurting Hal. And Tenoir's place. Hal's in deep trouble.
So how do they get inside? The page isn't going to just unlock the door for them.
No way. He's terrified of Tête Noire. So Robin, who must have rejoined Keldon, comes up with a plan. A bit theatrical.
Oh, what is it?
They bind and gag the page, throw a cloak over him, and basically pretend he's a sick servant they need to bring inside.
Seriously, they just walk up to the door carrying the page.
Pretty much. Claiming he's ill, needs help. It's incredibly risky.
You think? Does it work?
Amazingly, yes. The guards open the door, maybe caught off guard. Robin and Keldon overpower them, secure the house.
And they find Hal?
They find Hal. But he's hurt. Head wound, sword cut on his arm, not looking good.
Okay, they've got him, but they're inside a fortress owned by a killer, with De Courcy likely knowing he's there.
Yeah.
How do they get out?
Just as they're figuring that out, one of Tenoir's men, now their captive, reveals something amazing. A secret passage leading from the house into the castle dungeons.
No way! Out of the frying pan into the fire. Or maybe a way out.
Could be either.
Yeah.
But right then, they hear soldiers outside, trying to break down the main door of Tenoir's house.
Time to use that passage.
Exactly. Robin, Keldon carrying the weak Hal, and their new guide, this soldier, John of Bretby, they duck into the passage.
Is it clear sailing?
Not quite. They run into Simon Tenoir himself in the castle tunnels with more of his men.
Of course they do! Fight scene.
Big fight in the dark passages. Robin manages to fatally wound Tenoir.
One threat down.
And John of Bretby, the guide, actually helps them fight off the other soldiers. Seems he switched sides for real.
Interesting. Loyalty can be earned, even in dire straits.
Okay, Tenoir's men dealt with. Now what?
They grab another captured soldier, force him to guide them towards the castle gates.
Through the main castle now.
Looks like it. John of Bretby uses his knowledge of the castle layout to try and bluff their way through the courtyard guards.
Does it work? Almost. They get past some, but then they're challenged for the passwords. They don't know it.
Uh-oh. Track?
For a second. But John of Bretby reacts instantly, attacks the guard asking for the password.
Creates a diversion.
Exactly. Gives them a chance to make a break for the drawbridge, which is just starting to rise.
From a race against time.
A desperate scramble. Hal is weak. He stumbles as he jumps.
Oh.
But Robin makes this incredible catch, grabs him, pulls him onto the bridge just as it lifts clear.
Wow. Heroic stuff.
Crossbow bolts are flying after them, but they make it. They plunge into the darkness outside the walls and head for the safety of
Sherwood Forest. Again, what an escape.
Truly breathtaking. Shows their courage, their bond, everything.
So they're back in Sherwood, but De Courcy's not giving up, is he? His men are pursuing them into the forest.
He is, foolishly. His men are trying to follow them into Robin's territory.
Yeah.
Big mistake.
How does that go for them?
About as well as you'd expect. Robin's men use the forest like a weapon, ambushing them, leading them in circles, picking them off with arrows.
Home field advantage.
Totally. De Courcy's guide gets killed. His troops start losing heart fast. They're getting routed.
So De Courcy gets desperate.
Very. He does something pretty low. Captures 3 women from Robin's camp, takes them hostage.
Oh, that's bad form, even for him.
Terrible move. It just hardens Robin's resolve. His men intercept De Courcy's group.
And rescue the women.
It's a fierce fight, but yes, the women are rescued. De Courcy's troops are completely broken now. He tries to flee, but his horse gets shot.
He's grounded.
And captured by Robin's men. But then something odd happens. Hal of Harding.
What does Hal do? He's recovered a bit by now.
Recovered somewhat. He sees De Courcy tied up, and he cuts his bonds.
What? Why would he do that? After De Courcy put him in Tenoir's house.
Maybe some kind of code, chivalry, misplaced mercy. Hard to say. But De Courcy is utterly humiliated anyway. He surrenders to Robin. His own men just abandon him.
Wow. So De Courcy is Robin's prisoner now. What a turn of events. But the drama isn't over, is it?
Not by a long shot. While all this is happening, some garbled news reaches the main camp in Sherwood.
News.
The news is that Robin Hood and the Knight of Keldon have been captured.
What? How? That's wrong, isn't it?
Completely wrong. But that's the rumor spreading. And poor Hal hears it. He's still weak.
And he collapses. Again.
Yep. Collapses from the shock. Mistress Marian looks after him.
Okay, confusion in the camp. But then?
Then Friar Tuck makes his entrance, strolling back into camp. And he's not alone.
Who's he got with him?
Sir Ulf Bruno, our old friend from the inn.
Where did Tuck find him?
Apparently Sir Ulf, after saving the inn, just got lost wandering around Sherwood Forest. Tuck stumbled upon him.
Huh, so Tuck just brings him in? Another prisoner?
Seems so. And Hal, maybe coming around a bit, sees Sir Ulf.
And recognizes him immediately, the guy who attacked them.
Exactly. And seeing Sir Ulf and knowing de Courcy is also their prisoner, an idea forms in Hal's mind.
Let me guess. Prisoner exchange.
Spun on. Use their two high-value Norman prisoners, de Courcy and Sir Ulf, to ransom Robin and Calden, who they think are captured.
Okay, but Robin and Calden aren't captured. How does this play out? Does Hal go through with it?
He does. Showing real guts, Hal disguises himself again, goes back to Nottingham Castle.
He's got nerve. Who does he talk to?
He manages to get an audience with the sheriff and even Prince John.
What's his pitch?
He reveals, "We have Baron de Courcy." Big news for Prince John. And then proposes the swap. De Courcy for Robin Hood, the Knight of Calden, and those 3 archers captured earlier.
Does he mention they also have Sir Ulf?
Yes. Eventually it comes out that Sir Ulf Bruno, whose attack at the inn John had pretended to know nothing about, is also their captive.
So John realizes 2 of his, let's say, associates are in Robin's hands.
Exactly. Losing de Courcy would be bad enough. Losing both, plus the embarrassment. He agrees. He released Robin and Calden, who aren't actually his prisoners, but he plays along, for the safe return of both nobles.
Okay, so the deal is struck based on faulty information on Hal's side, but John agrees anyway because he wants de Courcy and Ulf back. This is getting complicated.
Very. So Robin, Calden, and Hal are released from Nottingham Castle. They basically just walk out with a Norman escort.
An escort to make sure the exchange happens.
Supposedly. But the Norman knight leading the escort gives the game away pretty quickly.
How?
He says they'll only go a short distance into the forest. He's clearly nervous, suspects Robin's men might be waiting, which they are, of course.
So Robin knows something's fishy.
Oh, definitely. He writes an order for Friar Tuck, bring de Courcy and Sir Ulf to the meeting spot, but only with a small guard. Seems straightforward.
That there's a catch.
Will Scarlet reads between the lines. He senses Robin's unspoken warning. He suspects treachery is planned.
Good old Will Scarlet. Always sharp. So they get to the exchange point.
Yes. De Courcy, prisoner though he is, can't resist making some kind of threat as he's being handed over.
Classy, and then
the Norman escort shows its true colors. They suddenly attack Robin and Calden. It was a setup all along.
Knew it! But Will Scarlet.
Will Scarlet was ready. On his initiative, Robin's men had silently surrounded the entire glade while the Normans were focused on the exchange.
The trap is sprung.
Exactly. Robin's men pour out of the trees, arrows fly. The Normans are completely ambushed, overwhelmed.
Sweet justice.
Yeah.
What happens in the fight?
Friar Tuck takes down the treacherous Norman knight leading the escort, non-lethally, probably with his staff.
Trust Tuck.
Calden, finally armed again, finishes the job, disarms the knight, and kills him. Ends the threat.
De Courcy tries something.
De Courcy makes a move on Robin, but Robin handles him easily. Subdues him again.
And Sir Ulf, what's his reaction to this blatant betrayal by his own side?
Interestingly, Sir Ulf is disgusted. He loudly proclaims he had no part in this treacherous plan. Maybe he does have a sliver of honor after all.
Maybe. Or just trying to save his own skin. How does Robin handle the aftermath?
He actually spares Sir Ulf. Perhaps believing his claim, or maybe just seeing no point in further bloodshed there. But de Courcy and the dead Norman knight. Robin declares their lives forfeit because of the betrayal.
What about the regular Norman soldiers?
They're disarmed, stripped of their armor, except Sir Ulf, who gets to keep his, and basically kicked out of Sherwood with a warning not to come back.
A clear message sent.
Definitely. Then Robin, Calden, Hal, the rescued archers, they all celebrate their victory. They turn the tables completely.
But it's not quite happily ever after, is it?
No. The final note is that Prince John and Baron de Courcy are now angrier, more determined for revenge than ever before. The fight is far from over.
Okay, wow. That was quite a ride through those pages. So just to wrap up this deep dive, we've seen Prince John's naked ambition, the incredible loyalty between Robin Hood, Calden, and Hal.
And the constant threat of betrayal from guys like de Courcy and initially Sir Ulf.
Yeah. It really shows how friendship, quick thinking, and knowing your environment like Robin's men in Sherwood can overcome powerful enemies. Hopefully, everyone listening now has a really solid grasp of this whole interconnected story.
We aim to give that clear, thorough understanding without getting lost in every single detail. You really get the flow, the character arcs, the key moments.
Some of those moments really stood out, didn't they? That planned betrayal during the exchange.
Oh, yeah. And Robin's men turning the tables. Classic Robin Hood strategy.
Plus, understanding why everyone was doing what they were doing. John's power grab, Ulf's land lust, de Courcy's pure vengefulness. It makes the whole thing richer.
Definitely adds layers to the conflict.
So it leaves us with a final thought, isn't it? Considering Prince John and de Courcy are now really mad,
Right.
what do we think they might cook up next? What kind of schemes could they devise?
That's the question, isn't it? And how will Robin, Cullen, and their allies prepare for that inevitable next round? This chapter closes, but the wider struggle clearly continues. Something to mull over.